You mentioned Baylor in passing. I wanted to talk to Baylor a little bit here because Baylor's another one of these teams that if K-State is the hardest to project in the conference, and I believe that, I stand by that.
Yep.
Baylor, more broadly, is one of the more interesting teams in the conference or bigger picture college football this season. Their over-under is 6.5. Personally, I'm fully out. Okay?
I think I am too.
I'm fully out, and it pains me to say that because we have a lot of great Baylor fans and podcasters and people who cover the team that listen to this show.
Yeah.
They may know a lot more about Baylor than I do. I would encourage you to write in solidverbal@gmail.com. Baylor was 5-7 a year ago, 3-6 in conference. 6.5 is the over-under. I'm out, but they're not interesting.
They're definitely interesting.
There are 3 reasons why I think Baylor is one of the more interesting teams in college football.
I'm ready.
The first is Dave Aranda being on the hot seat again. Thank you.
Yep.
5-7 a year ago, missed the bowl. It was a very good, albeit very inefficient offense. We're now headed into year 7 of the Aranda era at Baylor. I can't believe it's been that long. Wow. 7 years. Can you believe that?
Kind of. Last couple of years have aged me a little bit, the Baylor experience, but yeah.
It's now been 5 years since that one where they went 12-2 and won the Big 12. But we've gotten to this point slowly, perhaps painfully, where Aranda's career record in Waco was 36-37, so 1 game below 500. This is not the first time he has been on the hot seat. It feels like that's happened at least on 1.5 or 2 other occasions. In each of those 2 moments, Dave Aranda sort of answered the bell. So the question is, if we want to make things interesting, can he do it again? I think there will be less tolerance for a tweener-type season, for a 6-6 season that gets him back to a bowl. I could make a case that he's got to get to 8-4 and show promise for 2027 in order to keep this job, but I'll leave that to the Baylor fans. You can write in again, solidverbal@gmail.com, and let me know what the cutoff is. But I don't think 6-6 is good enough. I'm also really curious, if I'm going to question 2 now, about the defense. Because this is, I think, the main source of tension with the Aranda era, especially now. Aranda stepped foot on campus as a defensive-minded guy. He was a defensive coordinator, much sought after.
Won a national championship.
Won a national championship. He tried taking back control of the defense. Didn't really work. Now he's handing the keys over to Joe Klanderman, who comes over from Kansas State. A bit of symmetry here. This is a guy who is highly respected. It was something of a big swing for Aranda to go out and get him from K-State. It may surprise you to learn that Joe Klanderman wants to run a more aggressive attacking defense, Dan.
If he can run a more anything defense than what Baylor has done recently, that's a win.
With a real focus on havoc plays, right? The turnovers and the sacks and the negative tackles for loss, that type of stuff. The consensus seems to be that he's exactly what Baylor needs. It is a question, though, I think rightfully, how long is that going to take? He might be exactly what they need 3 years from now. But in order to save Aranda's job, it's going to happen in a hurry. I'm not sure. To that end, Aranda is on record saying that this is the most money they've ever spent on defense in his time at Waco. Clearly, he understands what the stakes are here. I do think they did a good job along the defensive line and in the secondary. And in some cases, bringing some guys over from K-State who are already familiar with Joe Klanderman and the language and the system that he's going to run. So I don't think they fell short, at least in the offseason, trying to get to that point. But now the rubber meets the road. Defense is number 2. Third reason why they're interesting. You ever hear of DJ Lagway, Dan?
I have heard of DJ Lagway.
Yeah.
Quite familiar.
DJ Lagway comes over from Florida. He's a new quarterback. Almost 4,200 career passing yards. They're going to pair him with Jake Spavital, who wants to go quick, right? That's the Spav system. Let's go quick. Sure. Let's move. Let's play with tempo.
He's developed a lot of quarterbacks. Yep.
The best of Lagway is really good. Physically now, he's probably got some of the best tools of any quarterback in the game. He gives them a running threat. He gives them leadership. He was voted team captain. He just got there like 15 minutes ago. Everybody seems to really like DJ Lagway as a person, but the issue is too many interceptions, What's the supporting cast going to look like this year? The line in front of him is very much in flux. His pass catchers feel like they're an open question as well. There is a lot here, especially on offense, that I am not liking. I like DJ Lagway, but just too many questions for me on offense. Way too many questions on defense and how long this reclamation project is going to take. I am just not buying that any of this is going to be a quick fix. And I think that's the main reason. For those reasons, I'm out.
I think I'm out too. Okay, so if you were to describe what Baylor was last season in a word, chaos. Right?
Yep.
Kind of?
Yep.
Isn't that the Bill Hader in a word, chaos?
Chaos.
Running backs lost 8 fumbles. They played in a bunch of tight games. I think were they the worst turnover margin team in America last year? If they weren't, they were in that conversation. They were down there. They were minus 13 or 14 turnover margin. There was nothing terribly boring in a good way about Baylor last season. Red zone wise on both sides of the ball, turnover wise, penalty wise. And to that chaos, they add DJ Lagway. Again, all the talent in the world. But if you're coming off of the season that they had, where there were all of these up and down moments and comebacks and coming up just short, whatever, you kind of want dependability at quarterback. Now, I actually really like the Joe Klanderman hire.
I love it. I think it's a great hire.
In the way that Baylor has had, I think, 4 straight pretty bad defenses since it was the 21 season. I think they had like a top 20 national defense. Joe Klanderman never has bad defenses, or at least hasn't in a long time. His time at K-State was sort of defined by, at the very least, competent defenses. Maybe not game-changing, maybe not lethal, but competent, organized, and developed dudes at all 3 levels.
Baylor wins more games last year if they've got a semi-competent defense.
Sure, but you can say that for a lot of teams. I don't want to think about Baylor in close games all the time, as I'm sure Baylor fans don't want to either, because it's very difficult to see why the chaos is settling in to disappear. I know Dave Aranda said they spent more on their defense than they ever have before, especially up front. Yep. And I think they're still waiting at the time of recording on an eligibility injunction situation, an Indiana transfer up front, who if they get, it's Hosea Wheeler. I think that's his name. If they get him, that's definitely a huge, huge deal for what Baylor might be able to look like up front. It's still chaos.
Yeah.
It's still chaos. If you're waiting on one guy to either change your defense or not change your defense, I'm just not there. I'm not there right now with Baylor. I think Joe Klanderman will improve things on that side of the ball. I think you will see moments from DJ Lagway that make him look Heisman-esque, but I need dependability if I'm in Waco at this point. And I don't see the star power around him. Like, I think the running backs room is like, it's what, Dawson Pendergrass. I think he's fine. I think they're decent players. I'm not trying to disrespect anybody on this offense, but if your goal is to win 9 games, where are you finding those 9?
Yeah.
Because that's the step forward.
Yeah, I think it is.
It's a violent finish to the schedule, by the way.
Yeah, so this is a schedule. We can run through this quickly, but they open with Auburn. Neutral site game in Atlanta. Also on this thing, they're at Arizona State, home against TCU. They're at BYU, home against Texas Tech, and at Houston. Those 3 games back to back to back to close out November. So if there is a runway, it is much earlier in the season because those are 3 teams that figure to be favored against Baylor. They'll have opportunities here, I think, to kind of make some hay earlier in the year. Certainly throughout the month of October, there are some wins on the schedule. There are more wins on the schedule early. Yep. But the math problem to me is they've basically got 9 games to get to 8 wins because I'm not counting on them winning any of those last 3. And that seems like a bridge too far given what I'm seeing here, but who knows?
Yeah. I'm hopeful. I thought Sawyer Robertson was pretty good last year at times. Still too many picks. Like, I just worry that this is going to be a year in which DJ Lagway's best and worst impulses are indulged, and I don't see that as a good turnaround recipe.